Good evening, everybody. Matt Geary here for the Geek Pridecast on this Sunday evening. With me tonight, we've got some usual faces and another guest. So first up, we have Mark Canty.
Hello.
And Peter Ray Allison.
Good evening.
And our guest tonight is Sophie Sparham. How are you?
I am very good, thank you. I've got some iced tea.
Oh. So, Sophie, who are you? What do you do? What's the score? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I write things for a living, basically. I suppose I'm primarily a poet, but I also write prose, and as well as that, I make pieces of radio from time to time. I'm also in a Bruce Springsteen tribute band.
No way!
I don't know how relevant that was.
That's amazing. What sort of wow, okay. So do you play sort of like do you get paid well for that? I'm assuming those sort of bands do quite well for themselves.
It's not too bad. It's everyone else is in different bands. So it's just like a project for fun more than anything really, but we do all right from it. But I am Bruce in the project.
Holy shit, you're the boss.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's quality. Do you do yourself up, or are you just as you are?
No, I am. I've got the denim, and I've got the kind of like little red neckerchief. Yeah, it's all denim and white. And great. Yeah, it's really fun.
And do you play an instrument as well?
No, I play a little bit of harmonica, but I leave the instruments to the actual musicians.
That's more Blues Brothers than the boss, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like they know what they're doing. It's good. Yeah, it's been really fun. Obviously, lockdown has put a bit of a dent on gigs, as with poetry gigs and conventions and everything, really. But hopefully, we'll get back to everything safely.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the key word. I mean, you also written a book as well. The name escapes me because I'm a complete lunatic when it comes to remembering things.
It's fine. Yeah, I really like writing sci-fi and fantasy. I would say I'm probably there's amazing writers out there. I don't think I've quite cracked it yet, but I did write a book called Snow in Hell, and I'm writing something at the moment, which is about Star Trek fandom.
Oh, no
set
way.
in Midlands town. So that's quite fun. So I've been enjoying writing that over lockdown. So yeah.
I'm currently watching Next Generation. I'm on season 7. It's the one where Data's dreaming, and I just come to the conclusion Starfleet just don't have any sort of kind of, there's no discipline whatsoever. It's like they can do whatever the fuck they want, and then there's the worst they get is, this is going on your record and I'm not very happy with you, and that's it. And it's just like LaForge took off and took a ship to try and find his mother, and basically Picard turns around and says, I'm very disappointed in you, this is going on your record. And I was like, come on, man, this is meant to be a military unit. You should be bloody reprimanded for that shit.
It reminds me of, isn't there a Tumblr thing that goes around that someone screenshotted where there's a joke going on that the humans in Star Trek are the sort of Doc Brown. You give basically they just give them stuff and they go, wouldn't it be really cool if? And so the Vulcans just sit back and take notes, and then present huge numbers of scientific papers where everyone's like, how did you come up with that idea? We gave the humans 2 warp cores and they slammed them together, went back in time, turned the sun into a torus, and then they stole one of the warp cores from the previous selves to undo the sun and go back to the present, and then they high-fived themselves and drank Red Bull. and the Klingons are kind of like, why do you let them do this? Because we've got 5 papers ready to go. We're presenting 3 next year. We have patents and all of this stuff, and they're like, can we join your federation? The only reason the Borg can't beat the humans is they have no plan. They literally just grab shit, plug it together, and hope it works. And the Borg are kind of they're going to make a really cool plan. So we can figure out they should, if we analyze it, do this and do that and do that. And they went back in time. They brought their past self forward, who stabbed me with a sword that shouldn't exist. And then they put me into a holodeck and shot us with hard like bullets that shouldn't affect us, but they turned off the safeties, and I'm going home now.
Okay, so Sophie, what is your favourite iteration of Trek? I mean, they've got something like 5 or 6 now, and why is it Deep Space Nine?
Ooh.
How did you know it was Deep Space Nine?
Because Deep Space Nine is the greatest.
Oh wow! No, it actually genuinely, like, jokes aside, it is Deep Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine so much because I just think I like it because and I'm not saying this works all the time in series, but because they had the ongoing episodes, like the ongoing story arcs and stuff like that, and you yeah, I'm just saying it was good. It was good. Like I very much enjoyed it. I like all the political background and ideas, and I love Garrick. How can you not love Garrick? And also the beautiful bromance with Odo and Quark. That is just, it's just great. So
it's got an episode with Riker's clone in it, doesn't it, as well?
Thomas
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas Riker. Because I've just gone through that episode where he, his clone takes himself off, and
He's got 2 or 3 episodes, doesn't he?
Does he?
Because he crossed very briefly into TNG. Because when he appeared, and he did 2 or 3 appearances before he redeemed himself or something towards like the 5th or 6th season.
Yeah, I think he was. Did he join the Maquis or something?
Yeah. He threw his toys out the pram, tried to steal the Defiant, and because he joined the Maquis by pretending he was his brother, and then I think he redeemed himself in one of the. He got captured and he redeemed himself trying to help them escape from a holding camp or something when they got captured by the Cardassians.
Yes. So how did you get into Star Trek?
That's a really good question. I think my ex-girlfriend, it was my ex-girlfriend, she showed me like one of the movies, and I was like, oh, I don't really think I'd be that into that. And she was like, no, like, you should watch it. And it was the first reboot actually, before I'd seen like anything. So she just showed me the first reboot, and I thought, oh, that's all right. I thought, but it's pretty Hollywood and stuff. I thought I'd like to see what the original series was. And I watched the original series and I was like, wow, these narrative arcs are crazy. Let's watch it anyway. And then Gez, my current partner, was like, you should watch TNG, like you should get into it. And I was like, no, it's not Kirk and Spock. I just don't think I'll like it. Like I'm really not sure. And then I watched it and I was obviously like, wow, this is just great. And from them, we just watched everything.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finished everything. Went to the convention. That was amazing. Like, it was,
Which convention was it?
Now I get confused about years because I feel like we've lost a year. So it was the 2018 one in Birmingham.
Oh, Destination Star Trek.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
It was really good. It was great, and they had like a costume party, and like some of the costumes were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the women dressed up as the actual Starship Enterprise, and she had like the dress that came out to become the dome, like the front of the ship. It was so good. It was so good.
I was at Destination Star Trek a few years ago, and I was there like when the entire cast of, well, most of the cast of the original series and TNG all went on like a mock bridge, and I was just standing there going, I'll never ever see this ever again.
Apparently Shatner
I just didn't move. I just did not move and do anything. I just stood there and just like, this is like a dream come true.
Apparently Shatner doesn't really, or they don't get, well, apparently the original sort of group, they don't kind of get on with each other, or don't get on with Shatner.
I think they went through a bad period and they were starting to pick up again.
Oh,
but there's backwards and forwards as anything with this sort of thing.
Yeah, when I was at the press briefing before the main event at Destination Star Trek, one thing I did notice is that Walter Koenig and George Takei went on stage. And then after they went off, William Shatner went on.
Yeah, I think Takei and Shatner don't get on that well.
Yeah.
But I think it's the whole thing because they were B crew, weren't they? Sort of thing. They were the later ones, and they always felt like he was hogging, from what I can tell.
But it is what it is. I think is the best way to put it. Yeah, but it was just great just watching them, everyone kind of take their own positions on the set, and they knew instinctively where to go. Like, oh right, okay, I'm helmsman, I'm weapons, and it was just like, wow. I mean, like, yes, I mean, there's a certain almost magical quality to it, isn't there?
And no aliens came and kidnapped them.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the later versions of Star Trek, like Enterprise, Voyager, and Destiny? Not Destiny,
Discovery.
Sorry, I've been watching Stargate Universe.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I feel like Enterprise was robbed a little bit. I felt like it was just kind of getting into its own. Obviously, I thought the first 2 seasons were a little slow, but then I thought it started getting into it, and I was like, "This is cool." Neelix is gone. No, sorry, wrong. I'm getting confused now. So, but I thought it was good, but I didn't understand what they rounded it off at the end really bad. I thought. Like,
they basically made it a coda to Next Generation, didn't they?
Oh.
And that was just.
I've never watched it, to be honest. That Enterprise.
You're not missing much, man. Yeah. It was horrible.
And what do you mean? So it ties it in with the Next Generation?
Oh no! It basically makes it a coda to the God, what's it? The episode with was it the Pegasus? I think, wasn't it? Where his old ship that was with the cloaking device, and where he was having his crisis about leadership and responsibility. Basically, the entire last episode was turned into a holodeck session of him looking back at the end of the Enterprise's mission in order to try and understand how things worked, so he could make a good decision.
Well, so it's very similar to sort of his last episode of Quantum Leap. Where it's like just looking back at sort of kind of previous stuff, and it's just like
doomed to be unfulfilled.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it was, I thought it could have been good, and it was like, but I don't know. I think they lost it a little bit. I am so like the series that have been released in the last few years, and like Michael's Journey and stuff like that. I have been enjoying watching them. I thought the last series I watched, I was like, there's too much emotions in this. There was a lot of crying. It was very intense. So I did enjoy it. I thought it was good, but I was like, I need less. I feel like I need less crying in this for me. Yeah. Maybe I'm saying a controversial thing, but I thought the plot lines are good and good ideas and stuff, but it's a lot more. It's quite complex. Again, Picard, there was some stuff I really liked about it, other stuff I wasn't quite on board with, so I had mixed feelings about that as well. So I don't know. I know some people loved it and some people hated it. I know it was a very Marmite kind of series, from what I gather.
Yeah, I enjoyed Picard quite a bit, and I'm going to be controversial, they should have killed Picard at the end completely. Not having come back in an android body that just happens to have a human lifespan. But it's just like, no, should have killed him.
There's a second season for it coming out, isn't there?
Yeah, next year sometime.
Next year, they finished shooting, haven't they?
Yeah, but I mean, I like the ideas. I like the kind of the Romulans investigating this Borg cube. There's basically hacking into it and researching it. There's loads of ideas, and I like that his second in command, that former admiral, she was just really cool.
Well, she was a former commander, wasn't she?
Huh?
It was his former commander, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I really like it. Brought a different perspective on the Federation and Star Trek as a whole, because like these are people that had been there and done that, and now they're coming back to it and looking at it with less idealistic eyes. And so I found that quite interesting. I mean,
I thought that was interesting. I just, because for me Picard is like, he can do no wrong. I was like, no, don't make him be hated at the start. Like, he is nice. So I know that's the whole point. Of
Yeah,
there being
I
no
think
plot
more.
holes.
I think more kind of like they were making it a political statement of how people could manipulate the perception of
Yeah.
others in order to forward their agenda. And I liked how they were kind of like using what Picard had done and then manipulating it to how it basically to again just kind of manipulate how it was viewed and then pursue their agenda. And I thought, yeah, that's quite prescient and
Have
on the
either of you
nose.
read the novel, the prequel they did for the series? Because that helps a lot with that first part.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it talks you through how he goes from being Enterprise captain to running a different ship to try and do the rescue. And so you know how you understand how he meets the sisters of whatever, the Romulan nuns, and how Raffi got involved and things like that, and how she ended up in the situation.
Raffi. Yeah.
Yeah, and how she ended up in the situation she was in. And it makes you see that basically they conveniently took two very idealistic but talented people, and then they dropped them when they were no longer convenient politically, because they made them carry the bag for it, which is where we see them when we come in. But it's also I think it definitely adds plenty to it. I think in some ways it would have been better if they brought some of that material from that book into the opener and made it an extra episode or two. I think the context would probably have helped a lot of people, because of that whole shock thing, as you were saying, that Picard's supposed to be the hero. And when you come in with Picard being hated like that, I think that switched off a bunch of people anyway, straight off the bat. And you had no sense of why. You had to kind of figure it out as you went along.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think it was a good idea. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was. But yeah, I kind of agree with Pete a little bit that maybe Picard should not. He should have
Survive.
had his time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, in a way, it's like it should be about Picard's legacy and like what he. I mean, because it's kind of it alludes to it at the start that he has this legacy and sort of an inspiration, and then just kind of kill him off and see what that does and see the effect like a person like Picard has and what he can become, what he can represent, and how that image can be manipulated. And I'm waffling on a bit, so I apologise.
I don't know, because I think it's a fine line when it comes to sort of killing off characters and stuff like that. It works in a series where everybody isn't safe, where like in Game of Thrones or something, where you can kill people off and you're expecting it, and it's sort of there's no attachments there and stuff like that. But if you're watching something called Picard and you kill him off, you're like, what the fuck? Why?
There's a very easy way around that. Basically, you kill Picard off, and he's gone. Now, basically, you have just created a massive sword of Damocles above your entire cast, because you say, if we can kill off our lead cast member, who is named after, who's the show is named after, anyone can die, and then you just name the ship after him. This is the USS Picard.
I mean,
okay,
that's not a bad idea.
Because they could have gone the way they've done with Prodigy. Have you seen that, which is coming soon, the kids focused series? And with that, what they're doing is it's a children's series focused around a bunch of kids that find an abandoned starship. And that's actually the lead on that series is Kate Mulgrew, but she stars as it turns out to have been a training starship that was wrecked and abandoned, and she's the onboard command training hologram modeled on Janeway. Okay. So the idea is, that's another way they're trying out with using the live action character in a different, or the original character in a different sort of aspect.
That's exciting.
What did you think? What did you think of Lower Decks, though?
Oh, it was really good. I enjoyed Lower Decks. I thought it was really good.
Do need to. Especially if you're into it and you've watched all the series, all the little in jokes are just hilarious. And when you get to the end of it, and there's an entire section on one of the last ones, which is all about really, really crappy in jokes about merchandise and things like that.
Amazing. I have been told it's good.
Because the second season's due out soonish, and that's even more cool in jokes because that ties into some more regular appearances from some of the TNG cast members and stuff.
Nice. This sounds good. Yeah, it's been recommended to me a few times, and I've been like, I need to watch this. But I'm always like, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm wary of stuff like that because I'm like, oh, is it going to work? Is it not? When really I should just give it a go.
If you don't go, you'll never know.
I'm trying to only watch stuff I've never watched before because there's so much good content out there at the moment. I'm trying to limit. I don't really watch anything, and at least that's what I plan to. I mean, but yeah, so I'm trying to get myself out of that comfort zone at the moment.
Yeah. We won't. I say that. I'm like agreeing. Like, yeah, get out the comfort zone. And what have we been doing? Rewatching all the old X-Files. So.
Oh God! Wow. Holy shit! Wow.
Watching every now and then I'm watching the last season of X-Files. The last one of the remake, not reboots, but remake.
I never watched those.
The sequel series.
The new,
yeah.
Either.
I didn't go near them. I sort of got a bad taste in my mouth after sort of after Mulder left and stuff. I was just like, the guy he played he was in the Terminator 2.
Oh yeah.
And I just I was just like,
Robert Patrick.
Yeah, that's it, Robert Patrick. And it's just like, it's just not the same. And I just sort of,
they're actually not bad. I've been watching them. They're not bad. Just ignore the arc episodes. The ones that kind of go back into the old alien conspiracy arc. Ignore them. They are terrible. But if you look at X-Files has always been about, an anthology series, like in much style of Kolchak the Night Stalker, which is about a series short stories featuring the same characters. Those are great. When they start doing the overarching plot, it is painful because they never had a Bible for a series Bible for the X-Files. And so when they started chucking one in and trying to kind of interconnect everything together, you're going, really?
It doesn't make any sense.
Really? No, it doesn't. It makes no sense. I'm just like, skip them. And the same one-off episodes are really, really good because they've updated it obviously to kind of take in modern sensibilities. So yeah, I'd say give it a try. Just ignore any of them that are called My Struggle, because there's My Struggle 1, which is the start of the new ones, and then 2 and 3, which is the first season cliffhanger, and then the second season opening episode. Skip them, you'll have a blast. Watch them, and you'll be one to put a drill in your head.
I think I've got some because back in the day when I was in school, they used to do when X-Files was huge. I have your collectible cards and stuff, ones you get with bubble, and I've got loads of them. I've got loads of collectible sort of kind of X-Files cards and stuff somewhere flying around. So I need to check that. I need to dig them out somewhere. I just realised, with in a pile of pogs. So there's a pile of pogs, some X-Files cards.
Dude, seriously.
Actually,
don't say these things.
I've got Pogs, X-Files cards, and do you remember those things that you used to get when Phantom Menace came out? And you got it in cereal, but it was basically busts of the characters from Star Wars, and they had sort of little sort of I'm not sure what it was. You had something inside them, tell you about the characters and stuff. So I've got a load of them. I was a kid. I just collected all this stuff, all of it.
How many times have you moved? How come you still got all that crap?
I'm a super collector. That's why I'm trying to sell a bunch of stuff at the minute and just sort of get just way too much stuff. As people probably see from my video feed, there's boxes everywhere because
Oh wow! My friend works at a comic book shop in London, and every now and again he gets stuff Trek stuff in, and he always sends it me. And he got some collectible cards, but they're just they're so crap. They just say things like corridor on them and stuff. They're awful.
Oh no.
He was like, you don't have to pay for these. You just take them. Just take them. I was like, wow, these are incredible.
They did a pretty good collectible card game when I was at uni. That was quite good with all the different characters and stuff for TNG. And that was back when you could get TNG. I think there was a B5 one as well that was quite good.
Yeah.
That people probably remember. And that was the good period where everything was just famous enough that people wanted to do the art license, but they actually paid attention and gave a shit rather than just churning out all sorts of filler that is just basically like magic, but with rebadged cards or something.
So speaking of games, and this is going to be a nice segue, so you'll be impressed. You also into do D&D, don't you?
I am. I'm quite new at D&D, so I started. Well, I came into D&D just before lockdown, right? Like 2 weeks before. I was like sat around the table, and I'd had a few goes, like a few one-shots and stuff in the past. I was like, right, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be great. And then obviously lockdown happened, and I was like, oh wow, okay, well my D&D journey might be interesting. So I've been playing on Roll20.
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, which has been really fun actually, because they've got like, you can go in the little dungeon, and then where your character is, they can only see a certain amount of thing. I thought it was quite clever, really. I was very impressed. But yeah, I have been playing. It's been great.
What's your character?
My character is a half-orc called Mace, and he is a fighter, and he's an Eldritch Knight. And basically, you would think he'd be like a really terrifying guy, but he's actually quite a timid orc, and he follows around this lady orc who is she's a barbarian called Cody, and she's like he won't do anything without her making the first move in fights and stuff. So say we roll, and I'm like to go first. They're like, Mace, what are you gonna do? I'm like, nothing. I'm gonna wait and see what she does. So it's been very interesting to play. It's been I thought, yeah, we'll see how that works out, but he's not died yet. So I mean, come on, we've been doing this campaign since I don't know, when did lockdown start?
March
2 years ago.
Yeah, so it's been, he's still alive. He's going strong.
These two have nearly killed themselves on numerous occasions. They've got this habit of just running off. Pete's barbarian has a habit of just hitting things when he shouldn't do, and
he has his own throwing mark. I hit it with my axe.
Yeah. So he just hits it with his axe, and then nearly gets killed. And Lance, who's our Mark's character, Warforged, just seems to run off and trigger every trap.
I did that once when we were in the middle of when we were pinned. No, that's not true. I did. The main thing was once, which was the running around trying to find help in the basement.
Yeah, the basement. Yeah.
When we were surrounded by vampires and spawn, and they were beating the doors in, as I seem to recall.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like to say we never ever tested my theory of against vampires.
What was that?
Which theory?
Okay, the weakness of vampires is that it's like they get harmed by running water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So urinating on them.
It can't be any worse than Thomas the Wizard killing one by falling over and splashing them.
Oh yes.
While the bath was still being run.
Yeah.
Because it then counted as running water. She killed him, and as he passed out fell into the water, he splashed her with the water that was still running, and she dissolved. And so he came glubbing back to the top when he rolled in our stabilization rolls, and just found a pile of mostly dissolved vampire.
Have you got yourself into any sort of emotional situations yet in it?
Into emotional? Oh wait, I can. Okay, I do not super emotional. They're basically, my backstory is that we were kind of rogues, me and Cody. We were following a commander, the kind of lead guy we were in a little gang going around doing stuff. And then we came back and found him dead. So, and the rest of our group dead. So we're kind of on a mission to try and find out who's done that. And there's been a few clues dropped along the way from the DM. So I'm thinking it probably is going to get pretty deep soon. I don't know. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. So I DM this one, and I've got a sort of aim in it to give everybody some sort of emotional trauma if I can at some point in time. So
how lovely of you.
Yeah, I know. Right, in my defense, I spend a lot of time trying to not get them killed, or trying to save them from doing things that are going to get them killed, like stuff they're going to do, and I'm like, oh no, so I have to think of a way out of it, because it's not going to make an interesting stream if all the characters are dead and stuff. That being said, I have warned them that once you get doubled out, so if your damage is double what your hit points are, then you're dead, that's it, so, I can't do anything about that. So as they've leveled up, I'm getting worried there is going to be some deaths. And last week, well, there was two ones where it was quite emotional. Well, last week and the week before, it was sort of like, we had this sort of follow-on called Tristan, who was like a knight, and he'd sort of pledged to find the family of one of the soldiers who had died at a battle. So we did a battle, and it took like 4 weeks, I think 4 weeks to get through the battle and stuff. We did like, pretty hardcore sort of kind of D&D battle.
Fireball!
And
that was hilarious.
And we basically my brother made the mistake of naming some people in his speech to to his sort of army and stuff. So I went, noted. And obviously one of them was killed, and the other one, basically his mission was to go and try and sort of find the family. And we had a moment where he did, and I was trying to describe him sort of going up to the family and providing the note and stuff, and I started choking myself up because I put some sort of like sad music on, and I was trying to explain the whole sort of kind of how their son had died and how what had happened and things like this, and I was going and I couldn't do it. And then the week afterwards, I killed my brother's dog. I did,
in the game, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So basically,
it's Mike's fault. He could have got away with that if he hadn't done a certain thing. When you think about it, because when you gave him to originally, it was a statue that he could call to become the animate dog, but it would go back to being the statue for a period if it died. And he went and did all that work to make sure that it was a proper dog and it was alive, and you warned him. And what did he do?
Yeah, so he basically named it after his actual dog, and he loves that dog. And it got to the point where the whole thing of it was there was this crystal that was reforming a dragon in the center of the map, and they had to basically destroy it. But if they did damage to the crystal directly, it would hit it back and do damage to them. So they had to sort of kind of do an indirect sort of kind of, like arrows and things like that. But Pete was just smashing it with his axe. And in the last sort of kind of hit, because basically I said, you've got one more chance to destroy this crystal, otherwise that dragon's forming up and you're going to have to fight a dragon, and you're not going to survive the dragon. So Pete just smashes it with his axe. And then does like stupid amounts of damage, which automatically gets hit back to them. So I was like, okay, do dexterity saves, so see if you can get out of it. And my brother's dog failed hers, and I was like, oh fuck, oh shit, because I said everybody takes damage. Roll me dexterity. Pretty much everybody sort of it knocked Pete out, and knocked Draken out. It knocked out Thomas, who was our wizard. I'm not sure, did it knock you stayed conscious. Tharaval, my brother's character, he stayed conscious, but I said that's a roll for, and you're gonna have to roll for Nanook the dog, and he rolled and he failed miserably, and I was just like, what's her hit points? And she was like one off, like doubled out, and I was just like, oh no. So I basically went, okay, I can segue this in to something else, because our healer, because she's pregnant, in real life she's pregnant, and so she had to take some time off to sort of kind of do mother things. So I was like, right, so I kind of need to introduce a new healer, so I might use this. So I basically, and this was horrible of me, but it sort of worked. I made him believe that he had this, basically his dog was dying and he had to say his goodbyes to his dog, and he got really upset about it. And then I, to the point where he couldn't say anything, he couldn't talk. So I sort of described it for him, and then sort of described a hooded lady who they'd followed into the forest coming out and putting her hands on the Nook and basically reviving her, and then the Nook jumping on him and start licking his face and things like that and stuff. And it was an emotional time. But yeah, he got his dog back, so it was. But he's very, very precious about it. It's that he won't send her into combat and stuff. It's like he's just like, no, I don't want her to die. See, she'll level up. So I make if she does things, he could train her and he'll level her up. But at the minute, she's quite low. So he's like really precious about her. And when that happened, I could see his face. I was just like, oh man, I've broken his little heart.
He did that to your own little brother.
I know. Thing is, though, there's going to be stuff like that. I've got some pretty. It's not like.
Didn't you say you were going to make all of us cry at some point or another?
Yeah, well, it's just like because the way we do it, Sophie, is that we have downtime as well. So we have like WhatsApp groups and on our Discord. So on the Discord channel, we do like role playing through that. So if they're doing stuff that isn't in the game or in the thing, they can talk away in that in their characters and stuff. And we did one where one of the old paladins was killed because he had to leave, and so we basically killed him in that, and that was pretty emotional because there was a lot of sort of kind of, you know, back and forth, and people had been together for a long time, so losing a character was pretty grim. And I've got this thing that I'm basically have some pretty dark stuff coming up, and as much as I don't want to kill characters, I'm aiming not to kill characters if I can try. There is going to be stuff that's going to happen that's probably going to be pretty sad, so I'm just sort of hoping I can hold it together.
Well, I'll warn you, Matt. I've got a new character lined up. It's going to be Warlock, where the patron is me, as in the player. So I'm going to play. So I'm warning you. I've got some crazy ideas. I'm not afraid to use them.
Hey, I want to use one of those Awakened Cat characters. That looks like a lot of fun. I sent you the file for. I did a Kickstarter a little while back. Where it is, and it's a bunch called I can't remember what they're called now, but they've done like dog and cat casts, and they're about to do another extension. So the idea is all of them are different roles and different breeds of dog or cat that occupy the role. So there's a Dragonly monk, an Abyssinian wizard, a ragdoll bard, a Maine Coon fighter, and things like that. And they have the rules and stuff with them as awakened cats or awakened dogs, with their kit and everything. And I was like, I've told him if he kills me, I'm coming back as a cat, and then he'll see how screwed he is.
Yeah.
So how did you get into D&D anyway?
I think I've always known a lot of people that have played it, but I never had given it a go myself. And then I can't remember, I was watching something and the characters were playing D&D, and my friend has been pestering me for ages to come and play D&D with them, and I was like, fine, okay, I'll do it. But I was like, okay, let's go. But it's just amazing, like, because I feel like when I write, you just live that all on your own. But it's like playing D&D is like, it's like writing, but you don't actually. You with other people. I don't know how to explain it. It's great. It's like co-writing something, but no one's actually making any words on a screen apart from notes. That's how I describe it, I guess.
Yeah, it's very creative hobby. I mean, out of all the hobbies out there, it's definitely one of the most creative I know of.
It makes me think of like beat poetry, cooperative beat poetry, almost. You know, where you have all like rap battles where they have to bounce backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So the idea is you have a bunch of people, and all you know is if you get your bit in, you have no idea what the fuck they're going to do next.
It's just so exciting because, like, yeah, you never know which way it's going to go. So I love it, and I get really excited about like world building or like maps or anything like that. So I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. So yeah, it's great.
So will we ever see any D&D themed poetry?
You know what? I was trying to write a poem called Ode to a D20, but I'm not quite finished it yet.
Yes.
I want to hear that one. When it's ready, would love to hear that one.
Yeah, I just think it's brilliant. And it's like when I was a kid, me and my brother, we used to have loads of like little like plastic animals, so like farm animals, and then like lions and all these different animals. And my brother had loads of models of like WWF wrestlers as well. back when it was WWF.
Yeah.
And like we used to make them all live in a little town and harmony, and like the lions were the doctors and like the horses ruled and whatever. So it kind of reminds me of that, but it makes more sense than horses ruling over lions. So yeah,
there is a My Little Ponies RPG that you can get. It's called I thought it's Quest for Equestria or something like that.
Yeah,
I bought it for my ex's daughter once. Like she had no idea what. And we tried to run through some stuff. And it was quite amusing. I was just like, oh, I should totally do a dark version of this, which is like incorporating some of the Game of Thrones stuff, just make it really messed up, so My Little Ponies, but dark, so, but
crazy cross.
Yeah.
You're just asking to up everyone's therapy bills, aren't you?
I just, it's what I like about it is as much as I moan, like I spend ages, I lie. I used to spend ages like really going into every single avenue and sort of make in like what I was going to do and what they were going to do and how this would trigger this and this would trigger this and all of this would be said.
And then we turned left when you expected us to turn right, and it all went downhill from there.
Yeah, and it got to the point where every week I was doing all this prep and they were going completely different directions, to the point where I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a vague idea of what I need to happen, and then if they hit it, then I'm going to do this, and then I'll just sort of go with it. And that seems to have worked quite well. And we've gone there's been some crazy directions, but it's good.
Have you ever been tempted to run a game of D&D?
You know what? I would love to, but I do not think I have the knowledge of a dungeon master.
I don't think you need knowledge. Like I played briefly when I was a kid, and then we did like a one shot, which was more of a murder mystery type thing, and and it worked quite well. Bar Pete nearly killing us all. Well, then bar Pete nearly killing everybody. Before the stream was over twice. But when I started doing the DMing, I didn't know all the rules. I didn't know everything. It was just because you can homebrew stuff. So all you need to do is sort of, as long as you know the basics, you can make everything else up. It's a make believe game. And if everybody turns around and says that's wrong, you go, well, hashtag homebrew, suck it.
As long as you start off with the starter set, which I think that Pete did with his kids. And that's like a simplified, like pre-generated adventure.
Yeah.
And everyone grabs the character and it walks you through it. And then you can buy like the handbook and the DM guide and stuff. Yeah. And kind of push out from there.
Like I said, it's just like, I don't know all, like I'm perpetually asking questions. I'm like, so what sort of role is this going to be? And it's just like, in the end, it's what you feel is going to work best. And, you don't need to. I don't think you need to think too much into it. There will be people who are purists out there who'll be like, "Oh, but you have to do this and you can't do that," and But as long as you're enjoying it, as long as the people you're playing with are enjoying it, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's consistent throughout, it doesn't really matter.
It's just a framework to have a laugh, and not get silly. It's to stop one person from trying to make a big thing about it every now and again when they feel like you have somewhere to lean on when someone wants their character to be awesome when it's a bit over the top. So as long as everyone's agreeing on it and you're having fun, and the DM hasn't developed a drinking problem yet.
These are very good points. But yeah, I think it's, for me, I was like, oh no, I'd love to run a game, but I don't know all the things, but yeah, that when you put it like that, that's really, really.
As long as there's consistency, as long as you have a vague, you've got a vague idea. Basically, it's D20. Ones fail all the time. 20s pass all the time. If you don't, if you're the DM and you don't want something to happen, then you can just go no, and that's it. It's it's as simple as that. There's no sort of and you just have to go. It's your story, basically. You have a storyline, you walk them through it, and it's up to you if you want to guide them in certain directions or you want to let them go out for free. As long as you tell them at the start and this is how things are going to be, then just do it. it's loads of fun. It's a bit stressful sometimes. Holding a party together can be quite stressful, but other than that, it's an amazing thing. I love it. I really do.
You can see these two having like cheeky grins on their face when you're saying about it being stressful.
well, Pete already DMs for his family, and I've got a little group that I'm hoping to start a group doing some stuff on Roll20 soon. I kind of deferred it for some other reasons, and so I'm going to try out DMing that way. And at some point, there is actually a Star Trek RPG that Modiphius do, and that's you can either run that in Classic Trek or in TNG. And I want to run that at some point because that looks like a lot of fun. And I may have acquired most of the rulebooks expansions already.
Yeah. Have you ever been tempted of running like another or playing a different role-playing game other than D&D? I
have played a few different ones. So I played the Star Trek RPG. Like I played that a few times.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Which I enjoyed. What else have I played? We played a Ghostbusters RPG.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's actually a really good system, actually. Yeah,
it was really fun. Really fun. So that was good. And I played another one, but I can't remember which RPG it was, but it was very, very simplified. It was like just completely different to D&D. They're all good. Like they've all got their pros and cons, and they're all played differently, aren't they? So I love the Ghostbusters one. That was so much fun. And we did a Red Dwarf one as well.
Oh wow!
Oh boy!
Oh wow!
So that was fun. I played. So I was a security officer, but I was a hologram, and basically the ship had been taken over by these space rabbits. And they just kept me around because they thought it was hilarious to watch me try and like police anything.
Stop! I said stop. I said, oh.
Yeah, I was just completely useless. And then we tried to overthrow the rabbits, and I said, I'll speak to the vending machines to help overthrow the rabbits. And then the vending machines turned against me and formed a union. So that didn't work either. It was good. It was a lot of fun.
That is very Red Dwarf, though.
It was very Red Dwarf. It was great. It was really good. So
but that's it. That's what the sort of RPGs. It's these silly stories and things that you get that are the best part of it. It's not for me. It's just sort of like we had a Rogue Trader, which is like Warhammer 40k sort of RPG from a few years back, and I loved that game. And it wasn't even sort of like, it was just the sort of kind of the storyline and all the sort of kind of crap that you got yourselves into, and completely going off sort of topic and going in, like we captured a planet and then he had to learn rules and how to govern planets and stuff, and then sort of all this other crazy stuff happened, and I just got really fond memories of that. It was really great.
It's so great. And I think like with the Red Dwarf, it was really role play heavy, and I was really terrified of that at first. I was like, oh my god, like I just was like, no, you just have to just completely go for it and just see what happens. And like, because my character Mace in D&D, he's so quiet and I suppose I sort not intentionally done that, but I thought because I was just finding my feet with it and stuff, he was kind of like me in going into it, being like, oh, how does this work? All these people are really experienced players, and I've just started. But when we started playing like the one shots and stuff, and I was like, no, you just gotta go in hard and just hope that it will fall into place.
Do you have like a particular character you play, like a preference for a certain type of character you play in the games?
I try not to. I try and mix it up a little bit. I'm terrified of doing anything with magic, so I tend to stick to things like fighters and that sort of stuff. I was like, I really wanted to play rogues when I first started. I was like, I'll do rogues, and like my friends was like, Sophie, you do not have the sneaky brain for the rogue. I was like, that is a good point. Stick to barbarians and things like that.
But that could be fun, a naive rogue.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not supposed to pick the door? It fell into my hand as I walked past them. You're not supposed to do that?
But I think you just try not to favour anything, because I think it's just nice to have a go and doing different stuff. Do Do you guys have characters that you'll go for, like playing wise, or do you?
I'm always a fighter. 100% always a fighter. I never deviate when it comes to my RPG characters. They're always good, and they're always basically melee weapon based. That's it.
Oh,
Nice.
no, I've mixed and matched a bit, but obviously I'm playing a ranger fighter at the moment. If I come back, I'm either looking at a monk or possibly a rogue. I think just to try and change things up a little bit, and just see how it goes from there.
I tend to play characters that break the rules, because I come from a background in engineering where there's so many rules, like best practice guides, and like the laws of physics. I like to kind of play something that just ignores all that and just goes, damn the consequences, let's see what happens when we do this. Hit with an axe.
We got him.
Nice.
We got him his character because he liked to hit things with his axe. So I trapped him with a magic weapon. And it was basically a magic weapon that it gave him loads of cool stuff, gave him a lot of buffs. Problem is, as soon as he took damage, it made him go berserk, and he would hit who was ever closest to him, friend or foe, and he basically wiped out an entire tower and then proceeded to wipe out the rest of the party with his axe. And then
I'm sitting there going, but you did this. No, I didn't. Dude, you can still see the dent where you caved my skull in. I wouldn't do that to you.
We had some really good sort of kind of RP on the Discord and stuff where Lance's character basically chucked it down a pit, and I said, look, I said to Pete's character, I was like, look, that axe means a lot to you. It's singing to you, and it wants you to be with it and stuff. So he was basically getting to the point where he was rolling to throw himself into this pit after the axe.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I may have smacked him in the head to make him stop.
Yeah.
It was a close call, to be fair, but yeah. I mean, obviously, moving on a bit, is like obviously COVID's here. It's fun times. How has kind of all your poetry and all your radio work and video work and writing, how's that been affected by COVID?
Well, that's a good question, Pete. So basically, I lost all my work in 3 days after the lockdown. I'm self-employed human, and yeah, so 3 days after lockdown, like just all the emails came in, and I was booked up for work up until February. So like it was like a whole year's worth of work. Yeah, it was really harsh. So I sat on the floor for a bit and I thought, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And I thought, no, don't panic. It'll be right. You've got a bit of money, like, you'll be okay. But then stuff started coming back online. So I ended up doing a lot of like online workshops and did a few commissions. And obviously you can just speak to people via the little TVs that we all live in now on the computers. So it came back, and I did a few online gigs as well. Online gigs are weird. They're very, very strange because like a lot people tend to be muted. So like people will read and then everyone's just like that, but you can't hear anything. So you're just like, okay, cool. It's a lot easier for poetry than for music and stuff like that, because literally you just have to talk at a screen. So it worked out. At the start, I was literally like, I've got no idea what I'm going to do. But then things changed, and so I did do projects, and I did projects in places that I didn't think that I would not normally be able to do them in. So like did loads of work for a care home in Rotherham, like a summer school thing for them, and ended up doing all sorts of things all on the Zooms. So it was very weird. It was a weird year.
Yeah, I mean, I took part in a live journalism event through the Nottingham Trent University, and initially it'd be like an in-person gig where I kind of like we all doing it like in the back room of a bar and kind of present our journals before it was printed. But COVID hit a month later, and like nope, and then it kept hitting. So like, okay, so do it virtually now. And yeah, that was like a really weird kind of presenting my an article I'd written, but like on Zoom. But also have to read out what you write. So it's very different to how you speak.
Yeah.
And I thought so I had to really have to restructure exactly what I was going to say. I couldn't just recite the article. I had to basically entirely adapt it to, presenting it in person or rather online.
Yeah, it's so odd, like, because even down to like, so when I would do workshops, I always like have handouts and that for people.
Yeah.
So, so they can do stuff. And I was like, okay, share screen. That's gonna have to be the way. But now I'm going back to like doing actual real workshops. I'm like, I need to make sure like my printer actually works, man. Like it's so long.
New cartridge, blowing the entire cartridge, just trying to clean the nozzle out.
Yeah.
The good old days. Print test page. Print another test page. Print another test page.
I did like plug it in the other day, and like I said to my partner, like, I've got no idea how to use this. Like, help. But it's been all right. Like it's weird trying to reintegrate into the world, because I think over the past like 18 months I've seen more sheep than I have people. And I'm cool with that. Like that, I'm down with that. Like that's all right. But it's very weird. Like I don't know if you've found a disconnect or if you've been working throughout the whole thing, or
I've been working from home because I'm the way my work works. But I've actually had panic attacks when I have been out and about, like with people, just too peoply, too many people, not really sort of thinking about stuff, and I'll just sit there and just go.
I enjoy working from home. Like I work from home as well, and they're sort of kind of threatening to sort of kind of send us back into the office, and I'm like, that is going to cost me so much money. I'm saving loads of money at the minute just by sort of not having to kind of travel into work and stuff. I'm just like, I do not want to go back into the office, and it's just like, I'm happy enough to do my own thing. I've got loads of hobbies as well, so it doesn't bother me. And I don't really need to be in the office because I'm not really customer facing, as it were, and. So I'm happy enough to go out, meet people now and again, and not sort of, and then work from home. But we'll have to see how things go, eh?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm double jabbed, and I mean, I've been working from home now for about 6 years. One of the reasons why I'm freelance is because so I can work from home with the kids and like being there for them as need be. But my wife's been working from home as well, Kalia, and she loves it. Gets so much more time together. I mean, she can get the kids to school, pick them up, but also it's like she just enjoys. She does not want to go back to work, go back into the office now. And there's been discussions now where she's already negotiated. Well, no, I can stay in from work, stay at home, so many days per month or week or whatever. But now. Headhunters are coming around and said, come and work for us, and you can work from home full time. And that's actually becoming a really big motivating factor for headhunters. Like, if complete 100% remote working, okay, suddenly that becomes a lot more appealing.
It's not scary anymore, is it? We've proven we can do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
We can make it work.
I think it's really interesting because, like, same as you, Pete, like, I've worked from home for Miss N for the past, I don't know, the past few years, and it's been, I've got an office in my house, and that was always the setup. But it can be isolating as a writer. Like for me, I do like to, even if it's just doing like a workshop or a gig, like just have that conversation. So I found that difficult, but it's nice just to, roll out of bed, have breakfast, whatever, and then just go into your workspace and whatever. That's cool. But it's really interesting you say that. I know there's some people that have really missed the office. Like, they've missed going in, but I think there's going to be a lot more working from home because, like you say, we've proven that it can be done.
Yeah. The main hurdle, for us anyway, has been I have basically been subcontracted IT support. I keep threatening I'm going to invoice them, for all the number of like times I had to help out Kaylee with the laptops or anything. Like I saw, the VPN stopped working. Right, okay, let's see what's happening. And like basically a matter of working out. They're using a very certain type of VPN that needed some tweaks done to the router, and it's just like, why am I doing this? I have articles that need writing, but I mean, and also one thing I found as well is I do the weekly food shop, but rather than kind of order in, I just kind of go out and like do a foraging at Asda and seeing what we can find, and that's sort of gave me like the people and going, yeah, okay, I've enough people right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing I really missed is conventions, like stuff like Edgelit and Alex and what have you. Going there and seeing people like talking shop.
That's the thing. That's what I mean when I say like interaction. Like I
Yeah.
miss when I miss talking to people. I mean I miss going and be able to talk about sci-fi and fantasy. I miss being able to have conversations about poetry and art and debating who is the best character in whatever show, or telling people the crazy fan fiction that I found online. And I miss that sort of stuff, like, you know. But I think it's really interesting to speak to people now, like especially poets and writers and stuff, saying, you know, I used to run around and think I had to make everything all the time and go to every event, and I was just always going, and I was this included. I think people are kind of like, well, I definitely am approaching back into the world in a much more cautious way, and kind of realizing, okay, this is my limit now. I need to, it's not that I don't want to go to all the things, it's just like I will be breaking my limit with stuff. So that's which is healthy.
Yeah. How has poetry been affected, like, by the COVID? I mean, obviously, like, you can't do in-person events anymore, so that's. But like, has like the subject matter of COVID of poetry changed at all, and how we approach it?
A lot of people. There's been anthologies that have been coming out like about survival and COVID. There's been many COVID anthologies and stuff like that, which has been interesting. And like loads of online gigs when it started. Some gigs are still online now. For me, it's really made me think about accessibility for people. So, you know, people who wouldn't be able to get to gigs, like when we're going back to in-person stuff, you know, we should have an online option for them so they, you know, can be included, whether they've got a disability or whatever it is that's preventing them from getting to the gig, they should have equal access and opportunity. So that's really been something that's come up for me personally, thinking about poetry, and I suppose, you know, running events and stuff like that, because I was doing a load of workshops with carers, like people that cared for family member or their parents or you know, their son or daughter or whatever, like from home. So they wouldn't normally, they were like, well, we won't be able to get out to go to anything, and that because we would be full-time care. So that really made me think a lot about that. So, but yeah, there's apparently, my friend works in theatre, and she's saying that all the shows they're getting sent at the moment is all about COVID. Like, that's all the scripts they're getting sent through.
I suppose it gives you options and access to a bigger audience as well, because you're opening your way up to people to be able to pay to watch without having necessarily needing to be there. So the venue's a smaller venue, or it doesn't have much car parking, or it's out of the way for public transport. You can still get someone to buy a ticket.
Yeah,
and you can still contact them and have them be part of that conversation.
Yeah, totally. And we had I launched my book a few months ago, and we had to do the launch online, me and another poet called Charlotte Lunn, because we just kept thinking like, oh, you know, things will be open soon, and I just says to Charlotte, look, let's just do it virtually, like we're never going to know what's going to happen. But you know, like you say, that's good because people can, you know, get a ticket and they can just sit back, mute themselves, apart from my mum that never been on Zoom before, didn't know what thought that she could just the room was like there was like we sold over 60 tickets, and she was just there like trying to have a conversation with me. I was like, Mum, like you need to mute yourself, and every time we got the guy to mute her, she just kept finding the unmute button because she was drunk and thought it was hilarious. She went rogue. But yeah, like you say, like it is a good opportunity for getting more people involved and stuff like that, I guess, and go maybe looking at things that they might not have thought about attending before, and being able to see stuff that it's like, for me, I suppose something else that's changed a lot is a lot more people, like something that's translated really well online has been writing workshops. So they've come across really good on Zoom because, you know, what do you need for a writing workshop? You need a pen and paper, or if it's my teenagers, you need a laptop or a mobile or whatever it is to write on. They screw their eyes up at me when I say, "Does everyone got a pen and paper?" Like, no, Sophie, obviously. Like, okay, well, do you have to get your virtual pen and paper out then? So you're getting a lot. So for me, I've seen a lot more people writing or come into writing that might not, or not necessarily either had the time or had thought about doing it before. So that was interesting.
Nice. Okay. One thing I've been meaning to ask you, and completely shallow, and I apologise, is your hair is amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, how is it done exactly? Because it's like it's blonde at the front and then red dreads at the back, is it?
I've got very long dreadlocks. I'm trying to see. They're really long.
Yeah.
Just reminds me of being back in Jilly's Rock World. That used to be the thing when I was but a teenager in Manchester, and they just like the dreadlocked hair used to be a big thing. Yeah, back in the day when I used to have long hair as well.
Sorry, Sophie.
I said people get angry if I windmill, Pete. Like they do not like that.
They're just jealous. They're jealous.
Yeah, I've had my dreads for probably about 13 years now.
Wow.
So a little while. Yeah, and they just, I don't know, they just keep growing. They fall off every now and again when they fancy it. They just kind of do their thing. I've got my very lovely friend reluctantly dyes my hair for me because I am terrible at my own hair upkeep. So thank you, Eva. And then I've got a lovely dreadlock hairdresser. But yeah, I've had them for years. But so for me, and I'm sorry if this is really boring for anyone, but how you do them, you just like separate your hair into the sections, backcomb it to hell, you know, do that. Get it all nice, and then I don't use wax or anything, but how I keep my roots cool and that is Christy. She gets like a really tiny crochet hook and just they're just crocheted in at the top with the roots. So there you go. It's just crocheting, but on
little
hair.
Dreadlocks. I like it.
Crafting. It's all about crafting at the end of the day.
Very crafty. Crafty.
I mean, I feel like people recognise me because of my red hair, but I'm not dyed my hair now for about over 18 months.
Wow.
So I mean, like you can see that the very end of my hair is red, but it's all natural colour now, and this just feels really weird.
Weren't you asking for volunteers that would use the dye you provided the other night or something?
I'm looking for someone to help me dye my hair now, because I know it's so long now. Trying to dye it myself, it's like a struggle.
I understand.
If it's just the root, no problem. But trying to do the entire length of it, it's just like I can't. I need to get a professional to do it. So if your friend's free, I just mind using.
I'll tell her.
Please do.
But she's we have to put my hair in a bin bag.
Wow.
Because there's just so much of it. Like, and my friend actually works at a hairdresser, like a proper salon thing. My other mate does. But I went there once, and I think the couple that owned it about fell over. They were just like, because there's all these lovely women getting their nice highlights put in and that, and then she was dyeing it fringe bright yellow, and my dreads couldn't fit in the bowl to wash all the dye. Oh man, it was.
How big is your hair? It's not in dreads, or has it been a
while?
I don't
know. Like it was. to be honest, I think a lot of it would just be dead hair, so it would just fall out. Probably if I unravelled it and it all stayed together, it's
Dynasty
coming.
style.
Yeah, it's below my butt. It's getting to the point. It's getting long, man. So probably, you know, if it all stayed in, I'd probably be like tripping over it on my feet. I doubt that would happen.
I do miss my hair. I had long hair for 11 years, I think. And then I cut it all off and donated it to charity. Some girls got some little girl as my hair as a wig. But yeah, I used to take well good care of that. I got to the point actually where I remember it must have been like, it was like a charity thing for work. So I dressed up as Matilda, I dressed up as a lady. I shaved my beard off and everything. I did sort of like, the whole thing. Had my long hair, got my girlfriend at the time to do my hair properly and stuff. So it was all sort of like, nice and wavy and stuff. And like I looked after my hair anyway as it was, but I was like this. And I remember sort of kind of being in the lift and my sort of kind of like this not the crop, it was like this boob tube type thing with like stuffed and like, got the point actually, right? I thought I looked pretty good. And I got a double take from a guy because I had to walk into work, and I was walking into work with this thing, and this guy was just sort of like giving me a double take to sort of kind of look at me. And I was in the lift, and one of the secretaries is like, "Oh my god, I love your hair, and I love the wig. Where did you get it from?" I said, "This is my hair, actually. It's all mine. It's all mine." And she's like, "No, it's not." And so she was like stroking it and stuff. It's like, "Oh, it's so soft, so nice." I was like, "Oh, no, I condition, I look after it and stuff." Yeah, so yeah, I loved my hair. It was just a bit of a pain in the ass, I think. So like, especially like sleeping and stuff, I always get it in my face, and I was just like, so it's good, my short hair now, not having hair in my face. But yeah,
getting it, being free of it. Yeah, my partner calls my hair the wig, like it's a separate entity. When we go to bed, like it's like, get the wig out of my face, move the wig, and constantly throwing it.
Yeah, I had to kind of move my hair to the side and put my head down on the pillow. It's like hair over there, me here.
Yeah, you've got it. It becomes a whole new entity of your person when you've got long hair.
I've never had this. This is as long as mine gets. I've got like a double crown and stuff. So if I let it get too long, it does miss Majika. It's bad enough that when I get up in the morning, I have little tufts over my ears and I have a sticky up bit there and things like that. I just keep it at about sort of grade 3 or grade 4 because at least then I can control it.
Yeah. It's funny you say about Majika, because like me and Gez, who's my other half, we were out bird watching the other day, and he went, "Look at that bird, it's got a Majika," and I thought that was an actual thing that birds had on them, like a description. So I was like trying to Google birds with Majikas, and he had to tell me it was off a program. Did not go down well.
I mean, you say about donating your hair. My friend's daughter the other day woke up and said, "It's my birthday next week." Yeah. And she's been growing out she has like proper fiery red hair. And it came down to about there. And she said, I know you've probably already got me a present, but I would like you to take me to the hairdresser's. Why? She goes, because I think I'd like to donate my hair for someone to have it, someone that doesn't have hair. And her mum just couldn't stop crying for like an hour.
Oh,
yeah. So one of her birthday presents was to go, and her hair's still quite short. It's a little bit longer than mine, but she'd like not had like a proper haircut for so long. Like everything had just been let to grow out, and it just all gone. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. My daughter's the same. Like, she's a teenager now. That is scary in itself. And yeah, basically, she's just gone ahead now. And she says, yeah, when we can, like when the opportunity's right, she wants to donate it all to charity. And he's just going, not to your daddy. Not to daddy, I could do with some extra hair. Is it?
And he's just like, no, leave my hair.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's good though. I think if you are gonna cut your hair, or if anyone's gonna cut their hair, I think like donating it for someone, I think that's just such a wonderful thing to do. I don't think anyone would want mine, but like
you never know.
I just think it's nice when you hear so much negative in the news about kids. to remind yourself that they're actually pretty good. They're not all
yeah.
awful. You just have to be reminded occasionally, don't you?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Like I go and so I did a Pride workshop in a school last week. Like I go in and do a lot of LGBT plus stuff with teenagers and whatnot. And they asked me if I'd come in and do like a poetry workshop based on like the Pride flag and all the different original meanings of the Pride flag. And when I went in, this kid, he was like, look, okay, we don't need to learn about this because our school is actually inclusive and we don't care like what anyone is. We just accept everyone. He was like, so go and educate the homophobic adults, okay?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, one, I just got told by a 15-year-old, but I was like, two, like that's very, very cool. That made me really happy. So
Yeah, I mean,
I went to schools in Northern Ireland, so it wasn't sort of that sort of thing was definitely not taught, and yeah, it was.
I was gonna say, I think Sophie would need body armor and an armed guard for that one, wouldn't she?
Yeah, they're not,
and that's just the parents.
They're yeah,
the parent, yeah, definitely for the parents.
yeah.
The AK-47.
But no, it's good. Like the more I go into schools, like and do whatever, be it poetry or whatever it is, like the kids are they're so on the pulse with stuff, and they just don't care about loads of stuff that past generations have cared about or made a big deal of. They're just like, yeah, whatever, people are how they are and we're just cool. Like obviously there's still going to be stuff that goes off, but the majority of them are just not bothered. They just want to watch TikTok videos. So
Talking about TikTok videos, my dog's famous on TikTok.
Your dog's famous?
Well, yeah, he's got 142,000 followers.
He uses his dog to get followers so he can make videos about military history and be ignored by TikTok.
Yeah. So I basically lockdown. So one of the things I did at the start of lockdown was start a TikTok, because my ex at the time sort of started one, and I was like, oh, I'll just start one and do silly stuff. So I was doing like Anchorman sort of quotes and things like that. I thought, this is hilarious. Everybody's going to love this. They're going to be so interested in this. They weren't. Nobody was interested in my shit at all whatsoever. And then one day I put a video of my dog lying there, and literally just blew up. And everybody's like, oh, what sort of dog is that? What is this? Blah, blah, blah. Loads of questions. And I got to the point where it was just like, I did, my biggest video, or I say my biggest video, Boz's biggest video, has 11 million views. Has 11 million views, has like 3 million likes, and got to the point where I basically sold it at the video. Well, not sold the video, sold the rights to the video to a company and stuff for it, and he made me 650 quid.
Mind you, your brother's done that once or twice as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's just a couple of his dogs. So dogs are a thing. So he's like, Boz has got 142,000 followers. I started like one for Geek Pride, and I don't do a lot for it, to be honest. It's got like 40 followers or something stupid on it. I started a history one, which I sort of dump on Boz's one now and again with a picture of Boz beside it, just so people go, oh, it's still the dog. It's just got my history thing aside. It's got 4,000 followers, but yeah, 142,000 followers. He is officially TikTok famous.
That's insane. What does he do on the videos?
Very little. It's literally like the video that has 11. Oh, there he goes. The video that has 11 million views was me opening the door to him in the snow, because he doesn't like precipitation. He doesn't mind being outside at all, but he doesn't like precipitation. So when it was snowing on him, he comes to the door. I open it, and he's covered in snow, and he makes this little sort of kind of whimper sound, and then I tell him to sort of kind of shake, and I'm going shake, brr, brr, and he's like, that's it, and that's it. It's just, that's it. And people are going, you've got a bear at your door. And it's just like, it was mad. It just blew it. Like over a 2-week period, I went from 30,000 followers to 130,000 followers in the space of like 2 weeks. It was just mad.
That's just crazy.
Absolutely insane. Over one video. And it's just like,
people are weird.
And I get 2p. I get 2p for every 1,000 views that he gets. So it's not lots of money, but every now and again, it's like I said, I just bought a new house, so Boz's money helped fix the roof basically. So
Well done, Boz.
Well,
yeah,
he's got to
good
pay
on
his way,
Boz.
right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he cost me a small fortune to be honest, but yeah, there you go.
Animals do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we've got a little channel where we share for friends with that. We've got 2 cats, which surprisingly haven't intruded. They're probably dead downstairs, hiding from the heat. That we adopted about a year and a half ago now, and we get we're unfortunately not quite we're not quite famous in the same way you are, because that would be nice to pay for the bills.
If only they paid more. If only they paid more. It's just like, it's just
Well, no.
2p sort of every sort of 1,000 views is nothing. You know, it's just, it's like I could make so much money. So
It's
much
enough
money.
to interest the teenagers, and that's
Yeah.
all they really care about.
Yeah.
Because the teenagers are making most of the content, and they don't understand the value of money yet. Because mum and dad still pay for everything.
Yeah, true. Very true. But there you go. That's it. Haven't done a lot of videos with him recently and stuff because I've been busy. But yeah, he's still on there, and people miss it. It's funny though. It's really funny because I'll sit there and I'll do lives. So you do these live streams, and like people, you know, just want to see the dog. If I even show my face on that video, people are like, where's your dog? Where's your dog? I have to turn it over to the dog because it's like, you know, people are just zero interest in me, and it's like people will go, we've missed Boz, and you know, oh, and you, Matt. And I was like, yeah, of course you've missed
Yeah.
Know
the
your
dog.
place. Know
I'm
your
just
place.
I'm just a glorified cameraman and stuff, so it's just like for him, Boz.
You're there for maintenance and camera duties.
Yeah,
Don't think that they want to see you or hear you.
yeah,
They're
it's,
there for the dog.
it's like if he's walking down the road and I'm doing a live and he's taking a shit or something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll switch it to me and I'll talk away, because generally I talk about, you know, people ask questions and I sort of answer them while he's sort of wandering around. But then as soon as it's me, it's like, where's Boz? It's like, he's taking a shit. I don't really, you know, unless you want to see him dumping right now. He's got this weird face and he's sort of looking at you, you know. But there, you know, there he is. But
That might be their thing.
I'm trying to find this now. I need to try and find his channel.
it's called Matt Geek Pride. So MATT Geek Pride, all one word. Is Boz's page. I really need to change the name of it, but it was originally mine, and then he just took over it.
You just can't keep up, though, right?
Yeah, I haven't done anything overly exciting on it recently and stuff, but yeah, it's on there. There's a fair few videos over lockdown and stuff, but yeah. Matt Geek Pride.
So what's the future hold for Sophie Sparham?
I don't
Looking for
know.
balls on TikTok, it seems.
finding this famous dog. No, I don't know. I want to get this novel done. Tidy up the bits I need tidying up, and hopefully do something with that.
More sci-fi.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird book because I've written like a bunch of stuff and it was sci-fi, but it wasn't right. The world building wasn't totally right, and I was just like, oh, this is not working. Oh, this is not working. And then my friend was like, but you write real life well in poetry, and I was like, I don't want to write real life. I want to write spaceships. And then the idea came to me. I was like, just write about like a Star Trek like fan group. Just you've been in them. Like just write about that.
Right, well, you know.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So it's, I don't know what it is. Is it sci-fi? Is it real life?
Have you ever read Red Shirts by John Scalzi?
Have I read Red Shirt? No, I'm gonna.
John Scalzi is an American author. He's one of these ones that managed to talk up a really good deal. Like I think he's got like a 10-year deal worth about $1.2 million. But he's done a bunch of sci-fi stuff. He did a series called Old Man's War. But he wrote Red Shirts. And it's a pastiche on Star Trek, where these people are on this ship, and they suddenly realise that some of the below decks crew suddenly realise there's some really weird shit going on. Lots of people keep dying, but like the leads seem to be it's basically invincible, and it turns out they figure out they're actually in the future the stars of a sci-fi show in the past, and have to go back to try and find a way to save themselves in the past, co-inhabiting with the cast and the crew of the series, which is about to be cancelled or something like that from memory.
All right,
This
okay.
is like
It's really meta.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
super meta.
It's
Super
one of
meta.
another those things, right? You can really appreciate it because it's been written out of love in the same way the Orville works quite well, because it's written from a place of love, but it's pointing out the silly shit.
That's what we like, though. We like things from, it's good. Like that's a good.
Same as for Galaxy Quest as well. We don't mind people taking the mickey out of the silly things.
I love Galaxy Quest so much.
It is the best Star Trek film.
Yeah, because they're there with you, laughing and throwing popcorn at the screen.
Did you like the Orville?
Like you feel like you're in jokes.
Yeah, I think the Orville was. I didn't fully get into it. I feel like I need to give the Orville another chance. I feel like I got one episode in and I wasn't in the space for it.
Series 3 should be out next week. They've just next year. They've just finished primary filming with a lot of it.
Yeah. So
we'll probably see that next year. But
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. It was just sort of like it was like old school generation, but with sort of it is like with the comic with sort of his sort of kind of comic edge to it and stuff, but it was sort of it had that each episode was its own little sort of kind of story. There was sort of like an overlying sort of kind of arc-ish to it, but yeah,
I still think that was very self-contained, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think the one with the smoking was hilarious though, with the smoking and the Mocklans.
Oh yes,
I feel like I've been running all my life and I've just sat down.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Geloja.
Yeah, cool. Right. I need to go and take this hound for a walk because he's starting to get restless now. So I'll let you find him on TikTok, Sophie, and make sure you give us a follow and a like and all that stuff. If you go through all the videos and watch them once and give them a like and give them a share, adds more money. Gives us money. Pays for my roof.
Get those cookies.
Yeah, pays for my roof. Yeah, so it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for talking to us. It's been great. For tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Mark Canty.
Good night, all. Thank you, Sophie.
Peter Ellison.
Take care, everyone. Look after each other.
And our guest, Sophie Sparham.
Thank you very much for having us.
See you later. Bye.
It's been a pleasure. Bye.